Hi, everybody. I completed a project the other week. It was building this monitor here that I have in the booth with me now. And this was a fun little project to do. It was very challenging, I found. But the great part is that it's going to dramatically increase my productivity. I'm going to be able to use this to control my digital audio workstation, Audacity. I'm going to be able to, if I need a conference with someone while I'm doing this, it'll make a lot of things a lot easier and faster and more efficient. But I have had some questions as to exactly how I did this, so I thought I would do my best to show you exactly how I completed this project. So forgive me for a moment while I tilt the camera down here, because my other camera is being difficult. So there we go. All right. So here we have the monitor. You can see I built the frame for it. Very functional. I did spray paint it to give it a little bit of a nicer look than just the raw wood, but it got the job done. But to really understand what we did here, or what I did here, we got to turn it over here. So a couple things here. The first is, this is how I have it mounted in the actual booth. I had this here actually, you can see, extends out, and it has clamps that, or a piece that slide into it, that I had in there so I could hold a cell phone. You can see it's about, it would basically be a tension mount for a cell phone. So if I wanted to record video, I could do that. But I find that I don't really do that a lot, and I needed a way to mount this without it taking up a lot of space. So I just repurposed this piece here by screwing holes or drilling holes in it and then bolting it onto here. And then the back is held on by these screws right here, because I knew I would probably need to be able to get back into this on a relatively regular basis. So we're going to undo these screws here. And I put hinges on here as well, so that way the top wouldn't come flying off and it was a little bit more secure, because just these by themselves aren't enough. So here we go. We can see, I'm going to flip it around so you can see everything. But this here is a monitor that I pulled out of an old laptop. My friend Ivan Martino, you might know him as the Viking Goat if you watch the Team X game on Sundays. He walked me through how to take this out of my monitor, out of my old laptop. And it was not hard at all. It was very fun. But this is probably the most expensive part of it, and I already had it. So I just had to build the box for it. But what makes this work is this part here, the card. Now the card over here, I got this off of eBay. It was an adventure unto itself getting that card delivered from Flushing, New York. But this is what allows basically everything to interface with it. The monitor, worked fine. So we can see here that this is these are all the connections to bring it into the board. And then all I really needed to do is, once I had it mounted on this piece of wood here, all I really needed to do was to cut some holes for the ports and to, run all the lines. So that's all I really did right here was, let me see if I can get that back together there as it's falling apart. Because my hinges are falling off. That's why I need to redo the hinges. But you can see here that I had to do a rough cut. There's probably a much easier or better way for me to do this than the way I did it. I had actually already built the frame before I cut this in there, and I probably should have done that first, but I don't think I knew exactly where the card was going to be sitting on the backboard. So, if I were to do it again, I would have a much different way of doing it. But you can see, if I needed to get, and this is for power, or no, power's down here, right? Then HDMI, serial, and then I think this is it's an RCA out, so I guess for sound. And then we have the tab. This is the IR sensor for the remote control, so I can turn it off and on. And all I did is I took just hobby board wood. And if you look at my blog entry, you'll actually see I had to make a jig for my table saw to get my table saw to work properly. But I was able to cut this down and make a nice little container for it. Obviously, I mismeasured a little bit. I could have shortened all this a little bit to make sure that the seams were 100% covered here. So if I were to do this again, I would want to clean that up a little bit. But overall, I'm really happy with how this whole project turned out. I'm going to need to fix the hinge a little bit, I know. But yeah, it was a fun and challenging little project that I think all in, let me get the wires back in. I don't want the wires getting pinched. See if they're going to behave now. Come on, everybody in. No, everybody in the pool. It's nicer in there than it is out here. Okay, believe me. Um, so yeah, this is a nice little. It was a project. It took about a day to do this. It was a 1 day build. Doing it again, if I were, I would have. I would do some things differently, specifically around the actual construction itself and the actual pieces there. But they see then this just is going to slide into the back on my in my booth there, and there we go. And that's how my monitor is set up. I just ran HDMI cables underneath my carpet here from the desk, so that way I'm not tripping over the wires constantly. And the power cord is running to a strip I have in the actual booth itself. So that is how I made my booth and or my monitor for my booth, and you can see it's very thin too, so it's not taking up a lot of space because space is a premium in there. And yeah, this is a great little project. So let me know if you have any questions about it. And yeah, like I said, the blog entry will be up as well to show you, I guess, some of the stills and tell a little bit more of the story about how the whole process came to be.